Hi everybody, this is season 2, episode 7 of Business Spotlight. And today, guys, I hope you have your notebooks, your pens, because we are gleaning from the phenomenal Alan Not Craig. Please introduce yourself for those that may not know who you are and the impact you've made.
Thanks for me. Thanks for having me. My name's Eleanor Craig. I'm a South African. I was born in 1977. Been pretty
Oh,
lucky. I
wow.
was a white guy born in apartheid South Africa. My dad started Vodacom, and I've got the same name as my dad. So I mean, I got a lot of luck in my life. A lot of people have been disappointed to meet me when they thought they were meeting my old man. But anyway, I got in the door, and that helped me quite a lot. And
Oh,
I've
wow.
been an entrepreneur. Yeah, I'm actually a chartered accountant, but I became an entrepreneur in 2003 when I couldn't get a job. And I've been in
Oh, wow.
telecoms for about 23 years now. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I actually wanted you to speak on that, like how you actually, that journey of starting out in entrepreneurship, how was that for you?
Yeah, I've loved being an entrepreneur. I don't have to apply for leave. But on the other hand, I've got to make sure the safety is paid. So it's got stressful. I mean, it's not for everyone. And the only way you'll really find out whether you're an entrepreneur is to try. It's been wonderful. I've been very lucky to be able to build companies and make some money and create opportunities and solve problems. And I haven't always done well. I've lost a lot of money along the way as well. But overall, it's been a great adventure.
Okay, amazing. And with what you do now, like, what would you say to someone who is like, I want to achieve that, but I don't even know where to start. I don't have someone to look up to because you had your dad who was in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, so he kind of had
Yeah.
like gave you leeway on like what
Yeah.
to do. So for someone who has none of that, how can they go about it?
It's a hard question. A lot of people ask me that question. And
Yeah.
look, you need money, to be honest. I mean, it's very naive to think to yourself you can start a business without having any cash. Um,
Hmm.
there's a couple of ways to get to that. One way is you can marry rich. I mean, that's a great way. Go and find somebody who's got a bit of money and marry them so that you can take a bit of risk. Another
Okay.
way is to obviously have rich parents or something like that, not really in your
Hmm.
control. You can obviously go and study something that, I studied CA, so you can,
Okay.
with a CA kind of qualification, you can make a decent salary, save a bit of money, keep your overheads low so you can save up some money. Go work in a big company like an Allen Gray or somewhere with ethical leadership and people who've got money who are your colleagues, and maybe you can raise money from them. Because the truth is, to raise money, you go to family and friends, and if your family doesn't have money and your family's friend don't have money, and you went to a school with people that didn't have money, then it's pretty hard to raise capital. So you almost have to build that network in your career. So it takes a bit longer than if you were lucky like me, having come out of a more privileged background. So yeah, I mean, that's the gist if you need to raise money. But overall, you want to start a business. It's the way to crack to try and get on. And my real advice for people who want to start their own business is just solve a problem that nobody else is trying to solve. Don't go where the competition is. Try to find something that people aren't trying to do, so that business is hard enough to do without any competition. So don't make your life even more complicated by going head to head with other people.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's really amazing. And I wanted you to speak about that because in the last interview we spoke about this thing of supposed to, where a lot of people assume that if you're an entrepreneur, you're not supposed to go to school, you're not supposed to get any education, you just don't kind of like start out, but you are a chartered accountant. So speak into that. What's the importance of education when it comes to entrepreneurship?
I don't see. I mean, for me personally, studying accounting at university and doing articles helped me a lot in my life. I mean, there's not many people in my industry that understand accounting or finance. And so therefore in telecoms, I'm like one of the few entrepreneurs who've got an edge around how to raise capital and understand an income statement, a balance sheet. So pretty sure you're not going to learn that, on YouTube or TikTok. You need to actually have studied something like that. So I'm a bit old school. I still believe in a formal education as much as you possibly can. For instance, my kids, I'm pushing them to kind of go and study something boring at university like accounting or engineering, even if they never use that stuff in their life. That kind of baseline education gives you a lot of advantages over other people that you're competing with. And it gives you a lot of confidence, and also it gives you a bit of a backstop. So in the event your business doesn't work out, you can hopefully make a living just earning a salary. So This is my view. I mean, I might be wrong, but most people
Hmm.
become entrepreneurs. They can't get a job, so
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah. And speak about that season where you didn't have a job because you could have just kind of quit. You know, most people, I can't get a job and they kind of give up on life, but you've made it this far. So there was something that was different about you that has led you to this point.
No, I don't think I mean, we've got a business that does a lot of work in the townships, and so I
Yes.
under no circumstances ever think to myself I'm in any way kind of on the same basis around a youngster coming out of Mamelodi or something like that in terms of the obstacles I've had to overcome. But my own little journey, 2003, I just finished my articles at Deloitte, and I came back from America to South Africa, and I tried to get a job, couldn't get a job. I was trying to get a job at one of the big banks, and none of them were returning my calls. But luckily, my wife was a CA, and she was earning a salary, so I could take a bit of risk. And I was given an opportunity, an amazing guy called Gavin Verigis, to start a business with them doing cell phone tracking. So I managed to get into the cell phone industry, but without having to work for my old man, which I didn't, my old man was a very difficult guy to work with. And MTN wasn't going to give me a job. So that was kind of my first step. And then my second time in the wilderness was after Mixit. I had a bit of a fallout with my partners in Mixit, and I kind of lost quite a lot of money. I had to sell my house and everything. And I didn't have many friends in Stellenbosch at the time. And I did seriously consider going back into corporate, just to kind of rebuild. But once
Mhm.
again, there was no options on the table. So when you don't have a choice and you've got kids, and I must say, when you've got kids, then things get serious. Then you have to make a living, and that's why I started my next thing. You just have no choice. I almost think the best way to start a business is out of fear rather than out of like love. Your fear of
Yes.
failure, fear of lack of alternatives. I mean, it'll get you out of bed in the morning.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. About what you do now in terms of working in the like with your business in the communities, how has that been for you? Like building a business that impacts people and not just like trying to like make money, but you're actually making money and making impact.
About 2010, my whole mission in life has been to try to get everyone on the internet, particularly, people living in the townships in South Africa. I know townships is probably the wrong word, Kasi or community. Um, and, just level the playing field a little bit, like make it, just I already have all these advantages and my kids have got all these advantages. And then the kids down the road, on top of the like less privilege they have, they don't have like affordable unlimited internet. So I think affordable unlimited internet can really change people's lives in a small way. It's not going to replace running water or anything like that, but it's a big lever, and that's what I've been doing for the last 16 years. And my last venture, my current venture is called FIBRETIME. Well, it's been about 4.5 years now. We put fiber into townships, into Kasi's, into the communities, and we R5 a day, 100 megs per second uncapped internet. So it's super cheap, super fast internet, and we're
Yes.
deep in the community. Right? As you know, it's not the government that runs the community; it's the community that runs the community. And learning what's actually happening on the ground has been like an education.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's a really amazing. Yeah, I talk about networking because you said when people start business, they don't know people. So, like, how does knowing people or having connections impact your journey as like not entrepreneur?
Yeah, you look. I mean, I might change my mind on this, so you just take it with a pinch of salt. But my opinion is that it doesn't matter what the path is that you're walking; it only matters
Hmm.
who you're walking with. So,
Yeah.
if you're walking with a bunch of dicks, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. On the other hand, if
Hmm.
it's something really difficult that you're doing, but you're doing it with people that you like, you're going to enjoy it. So, very important to choose the people you're going to walk the path with, starting with your spouse. And
Hmm.
I've had a couple of journeys along the way. I mean, I've had some good partners, I've had some bad partners. I don't know if it's possible really to avoid bad partners. I just think it's all part of the journey. You've got to experience the bad to appreciate the good, and that's how you learn. And but what you should be very careful about is not staying in bed with people that you shouldn't be in bed with. Like so, if you're business partners with someone and you realize they don't look at the world the way you look at the world, or they're dodgy, then you should get out of bed as quickly as possible. So,
And thank you so much for sharing that, which you have shared with us. But I want you to speak to someone out there who is who's wanting to do what you do, but they want to know how do I do this? Like,
I was just very lucky. So the first thing is, an issue kind of came from my background. It's almost impossible to have done what I did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and you know, a lot of it is luck. It wasn't. I mean, I have worked hard, and I've got a half a brain, but a lot of it was, and it was like right place, right time, and my old man like was a legend and has got the same name, and and I married the right person, and I ended up living in the right town, and and I live in South Africa, which I think is a land of opportunity. So it's just a lot of luck. So how do you kind of replicate that? I don't know. I don't know if it's. I really wish I could give, you know, like this is the dummy's guide. But I did write a book, a few books. My latest one's called Chasing the Internet, and I
Mm-hmm.
did actually, I said, look, maybe my journey is not relevant to most people in the world or in South Africa, but there were a lot of things I wish I'd known before I started my adventure as an entrepreneur, and it would have saved me a lot of time, money, and effort, and pain and heartache. And so I wrote this book like almost like a story of how I went from, failure to failure, mostly failures, and all the lessons I learned and all the takeaways I took. So whilst a lot of what I did is maybe not relevant to everyone, there are a lot of like universal lessons that I learned along the way, which I wish somebody had taught me at university or at high school, and my dad didn't teach me. So I learned it the hard way. So anyway, you can go read my book, Chasing the Internet, and what you want out of
Yes,
that,
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And you spoke about failure. So, like, how do you learn to adjust to failure? Since failure is like a normal part of entrepreneurship, how does one learn to say, yeah, this is just part of it?
It's like a muscle, the more you fail, the easier it is to fail. I'm not a promoter of failure, and I don't think you should celebrate failure. But
Hmm.
it's like public speaking. I mean, I used to be very bad at public speaking. I remember I've done 4 TEDx talks, and the first two were terrible. I mean, the second one, my wife watched the second one live, and afterwards she said that was the worst talk she's ever seen anybody give, ever, not just me, like ever in the
Oh,
history of
wow.
talk.
Oh, she's
And but,
honest.
it was a terrible talk. It was terrible. But then I got another invite because I kept doing new stuff, and another invite, and the last couple of ones were okay. And you know, so technically I failed at public speaking for a long time. But once you've done it a few times and kept failing, and you realize it's not the end of the world, you don't. You
Mhm.
actually carry on. Life carries on, and you get another chance, and you can learn from the previous experience. That it becomes like a muscle. So you kind of you work that muscle. So the more you risks you take, the more likely you are to make mistakes and fail, and therefore the more used to you're going to get to that type of thing, and the more risks you're going to be able to take, and really risk manage. Taking calculated risks is the way to get ahead in life.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so I think I've got most of what I wanted to get from you,
Good.
but I want to give you the time to just share something that I might have not asked you that you might want someone that is sitting across the screen to know and to remember as they continue on this entrepreneurship journey.
No, I wish I could help a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. I've been helped by a lot of people, and I'd like to pay it forward. It's difficult to do that when when you've got your own like life to live, and you want to spend time with your wife and your kids and all of that. Um, the one thing I keep reminding myself, and I was actually telling my daughter this yesterday, is that like a telltale about whether you're doing what you should be doing with your life is whether you're getting energy. You know, so if you're doing something or spending time with somebody and you're not getting energy, then you shouldn't be doing that. And the counterfactual also applies. So if I'm spending time with you and I'm getting energy, or if I'm working on a book or working on AI or something and I'm getting energy, even if it makes no sense, logical sense, like I can't actually rationalize why that would make me energetic. It's the universe telling me this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you should. I just think like looking back at life, always pay attention to where you're getting the energy, and then do the stuff that gives you the energy, like where you get passion and energy, and things will work itself out because the universe is taking you to where you're supposed to be. It's the times in your life where you override your gut feel and you go with your brain that you end up wasting your time in your life. But that's it. That I'm also not my kids, for instance, they're not going to be able to follow their dreams until they're 25. I'm like, guys, you don't really get to say this, man. I'm like, if you want to go to varsity, this is what you're going to study, and otherwise you're paying your own way. So there's a certain element of when you're young, you don't know what you don't know, and it's good to listen to your elders. I was lucky to have parents who kind of guided me in the right direction. From about 25 onwards, that's when you've got freedom. But up until 25, you should probably be doing the hard stuff that you wouldn't do voluntarily.
Hmm. Wow. Amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Okay. Before we actually end this off, I want to speak about fiber time because you spoke about how your life was a bit different. But how did
Mm.
you come up with a solution for such a thing where your life experience is totally different to what people
Mm.
in the township might experience? So, what was that like turning that idea into reality?
Yeah, I must say, Fiverr Time is a good idea. I'm pretty proud of it. And our team, it's really cool, And it is a bit different from the traditional industry. It didn't really take too much of a leap of the imagination to kind of land on what we did. But I think again, it's just trial and error. I mean, I've tried 100 ways to try to get affordable internet into townships, and they all failed. And so, or didn't succeed rather. And through a process of elimination, we landed on there's no easy way. You've got to put fiber in every home. You've got to do a free install. You've got to sell vouchers for pay as you go, £5 a day. You just process of elimination. So it wasn't like a stroke of genius from the beginning. It was more like a mission that we wanted to achieve and trying to get there. And every time we went down a path where it was dead end, dead end, dead end, go down another path, dead end, and until eventually you end up on the path that kind of gets you there, which is the difficult path, which you were hoping you wouldn't have to take because it's very difficult building infrastructure in townships. But it was the only path. And as long as you keep moving, you'll end up on the right path. So I just think that's our superpower. Our superpower is we keep moving. Even with fiber time, we've had a lot of dead ends inside the business around how we're going to do things, how we're going to price things, how we're going to charge for, and we just keep moving. We don't get stuck in our heads and academically talking about it and theorizing. We're on the ground, we're trying stuff, we're risking stuff, and if it doesn't work, we try something new.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We gleaned quite a bit. I actually like challenged me in the way I think because some of the things that you mentioned, I was like, okay, he is right, but I've never thought of it that way. So thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you spending time to just share with us.
It's a pleasure. It was nice to meet you.
Okay, awesome.